I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I want to show you how to create a basic preset on the Fractal VP4 using the free VP4 edit software, which I've got on the screen at the moment. Before we do though, I've got my Fender Strat Ultra 2 plugged into a Friedman IRJ preamp pedal. I'm coming out of that into the VP4, and then the stereo outputs of the VP4 are going straight into my audio interface. This is the starting point with the VP4 bypass. A pretty straightforward edge of breakup tone there. Let's roll with that and take a look at what we've got at the surface level of VP4 Edit. Over on the far left, we have our list of presets. At the moment, I'm just using an empty preset that I've called VP4 Basics. I can select my scenes over here, and I've got my effects layout over here for my 4 effects. And the signal runs left to right. We actually have an input block that includes a noise gate if we want to do that. So you can see I've got the threshold and release at stock settings there. It is actually removing a little bit of hiss that's coming from the preamp pedal, which is really nice. Then I've got block 1, 2, 3, 4, and my output block over here. With the output block, I've got a bunch of different controls that can let me customize my different scenes and my preset level and panning. We won't worry about that for now though. Let's do this. Let's click on the 4th block, so the last block in line. I'd love to add a reverb in here, and I can do it one of 2 ways. The default when I click on a block is to get this quick build layout over here. So I get a list of all the available effects blocks in the VP4, and I can take this and just drag and drop the reverb over here. Alternatively, I could right click this block and I could select from a drop down menu of effects over here. So I'm going to use a combination of quick build and that right click over there. The default reverb type is the large hall, which I think sounds fantastic. I think that sounds great, but I might like a different type of reverb, a different flavor, if you will. To do that, I can come down here and there is a little drop-down menu called Type. I'm going to click here, and on the VP4, all the reverb types are grouped into categories. You can see we've got all our halls, all our plates, our chambers, our rooms, our special effect reverbs, our big epic cloud reverbs over here. I really like the gold plate reverb in the Fractal, so I'm going to select that one. Then I can go through and I can tweak the reverb. You can see we've got basic controls like time, pre-delay, size, mix, low cut, and high cut. I really like having the low cut control exposed over here, and I'm going to set a 250 Hertz low cut over here. I'm also going to turn the mix down slightly. Otherwise, I think I've got a great sounding reverb for electric guitar. Now, if you're a tweaker and you want access to all the parameters that are available on the Axe-Fx 3 on the VP4, they're available in the Expert Edit tab. If you click this, you get access to everything that's happening under the hood with the reverb. In fact, this works for any effects block, so you can really get in and get granular and tweak these to your heart's desire. But the VP4 is more designed as a grab and go unit, and while you can get into the nitty-gritty with Expert Edit, in my opinion, you can do everything you need to do with this main menu over here. So I've got a reverb in my preset right now. I'm pretty happy with that. I like delay as well. So let's add a delay before the reverb. Again, I can click on here and just drag and drop a delay block over here. And much like the reverb, there are a lot of different types. So depending on the flavor of delay you like, you're probably going to find what you want over here. You can see we've got everything from rack delays like the 2290 with modulation through tape bucket brigade and digital types over here. I really like this stereo BBD type over here. So let's just have a listen to what this sounds like on my signal. Let's hear that with some distortion coming from the preamp pedal now and the bridge humbucker. I really like that at the stock settings. One fun trick you can do with any of these stereo delay types is to come down to the left-right time ratio and set that to 50%, 66%, 75%, some ratio of the core delay time. I'm going to go for 75% here. Let's have a listen to what that gives us, again with some drive. That's a pretty epic sounding dual delay right there. For now though, I'd like to bypass this block, and to do that, I can just double click on it on the grid. Alternatively, I could hit the spacebar on my keyboard as well. So for now, I've just got the reverb active. Let's go ahead and add 2 more blocks in here. At the start, I'm going to add a tremolo, because a tremolo and reverb on clean guitar, that is a classic combination. Let's drag and drop the trem. And again, there are multiple trem types over here. I really like the stock bias trem type in here, or if you're a fan of early 60s Fender style amps, there's a great harmonic tremolo in here as well. Let's hear the bias trem at the stock settings. I'm going to go to the neck and middle combination on this guitar, clean. Like I said, that bias trem sounds fantastic. It's so good on a clean sound. I'm going to bypass it for now, and we're going to add 1 more block in here, and I'm going to indulge myself with one of my guilty pleasures. This is a pitch block that I'm going to set up for a dual detune style effect. And what I really like is the default type is the dual detune, very close to settings I would use. Let's just have a listen to what it sounds like at the stock settings. What this is doing is very, very subtly tuning your guitar down on one channel and tuning it up slightly on the other channel in stereo. It adds a glorious widening effect to your guitar sound. Now, that's just a combination of effects that I personally really enjoy in this context. What I could do from here is I could utilize 2 features of the VP4 that are so powerful when it comes to organizing your presets: scenes and channels. Let's quickly talk about scenes, because scenes will control the bypass state of each effects block and the channel that they're on. We'll just put the channels thing aside for a moment. Let's just say we wanted this first scene to simply just be our reverb engaged. I've got that. I'm going to name this verb, and then I'm going to hit save. Next, I can go to scene 2, and what scene 2 will let me do is select a combination of effects. Say, let's go for the pitch, the delay, and the reverb. I'm going to call this grease because that's what I was using for my lead sound before. And I'm going to hit save over there. Then when I switch between scene 1 and scene 2, I'm changing the status of multiple blocks at once. Let's go to scene 3 now because I'd love to hear this tremolo and reverb together. So I'm going to call this trem and verb. Let's do that while we go. However, it would be cool to have the tremolo with a spring style reverb. This is where channels comes into the equation. So in this scene, the tremolo and the reverb are engaged, but I can change to a different channel on the reverb block, and I can select a different type. I can totally change all the parameters to whatever I want on there, and it's not going to affect what's happening on channel A. And because my other scenes were saved on channel A, it's not affecting my other scenes either. So let's go to channel B, and let's come over here and select a spring type. I'm going to go with the spring tube type. I'm going to bring the mix up over here, and we'll just hear this on the tapped bridge pickup on its own, and then with the tremolo. I think this sounds great at the stock settings. Once I'm happy with that combination of bypass states, so the tremolo on, the pitch and the delay off, and the reverb engaged, as well as the channels, you can see I've changed to channel B over here, I can hit save. This way, I can now navigate from scene 1, which is just a reverb, but it's a plate reverb, to scene 2, which is that same plate reverb, it's the stereo BBD delay, and it's a dual D tune. Then on scene 3, I've got a tremolo, but with a spring reverb. And we could take that further. Let's change all the channels on scene 4 and use all the blocks. Let's use a different tremolo. I'm actually not going to go with the tremolo. I'm going to go with a panner over here, and I'll bring the rate down. Then for the pitch type, let's use the very, very powerful sounding pitch crystals type over here. So we can go for crystal echoes or crystal shimmer. Let's actually go for crystal shimmer. This is a new type for the VP4. Then with the delay, let's come over here and let's choose a stereo type. I'm just going to go with the stereo tape at the stock settings. And then for the reverb, let's go to channel C and use the cloud stratocumulus. So while the VP4 can run 4 simultaneous blocks, that combination of scenes and channels makes it so much more powerful on just a single preset. And of course, you can have multiple presets on here with whatever effects combination you like. So we heard this combination of a panner, a crystal shimmer, a stereo tape delay, and an epic stratocumulus reverb on scene 4. Then we had this very 60s sounding tremolo and spring reverb. We had a very 80s sounding combination of pitch detune, stereo delay, and plate reverb. And then we had a very basic ambience on scene 1. So while I've seen a lot of people say the VP4 can only run 4 blocks, that doesn't do it justice. Yes, you've got 4 blocks, but you've got 4 channels. You've got the scenes functionality to organize bypass states and channel selection. You've got gapless switching between presets and scenes on there. The VP4 is an absolute monster that you can customize to your playing style, your rig, and whatever sort of tones that you like. Furthermore, you could use this in a very simple effect on and off setting like a pedal board, or you could mount it in a rack and have it switchable by MIDI with a bunch of other effects. It's kind of up to you how you want to use this. Your imagination is the only limit on here, and hopefully this video has given you a good overview how you can start from the bare essentials on here, and you can quickly build up very complicated and powerful presets that aren't complicated to use. If you've got any other questions, let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I will see you all on next week's Tuesday Tone Tip. Take it easy.